You are listening to Season 2, Episode 58 of the Fly the W670 podcast. Cubs trade deadline shocker. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the socials, Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, on Facebook. You can also email us at flythew670@gmail.com. Crawly, happy Thursday and happy Cubs offensive explosion.
Yeah, you're just sitting here and last time you and I talked, we didn't know what was going to happen with the trade deadline, if they're going to make any big splashes. And we were definitely nervous about the Reds, hoping to split. And what has happened and transpired over the last few days has been a Cub fan's dream here.
Absolutely. Dreams come true. Really great to see the offense doing what they're doing. And a big part of that is the addition to the Cubs lineup.
Yeah, we're going to get there, but a familiar face has returned to the north side.
Yes, a familiar face has returned to the north side. But, funny you bring that up, Crawly. You would know the answer to this because you were lucky enough to be involved in the ring ceremonies after the Cubs got their World Series rings. You presented, remind everybody who you presented to.
I presented to Miggy Montero.
Miggy Montero, and what a playoff he had. Do you think that the newest Cub, newest Cub, did he get a ring?
Jeimer Candelario did get a ring, so he did get a World Series ring. So
a real ring, like the big dog ring.
That would be my understanding. Yeah, is that everybody that was on that team was going to get it. So I don't think there's any difference between if anyone was on the 25-man roster or not. I'm not 100% positive on that,
but
he did get
you get some sort of a ring. Very, very, very cool. And he is very happy to be back. And if you're a fan of the Cubs or if you're a part of the Cubs, you are happy to have him. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And it was, there was one little bad hiccup that kind of happened here. And that was in game one, Marcus Stroman versus Andrew Abbott. We were hoping for a strong start for Stroman, but we didn't get it. He went 3 innings and gave up 6 runs on 6 hits with 2 Ks and 2 walks. According to Jesse Rogers, that was Stroh's 3rd consecutive game of allowing at least 5 runs, the longest streak in his career. And Dustin, over the last 7 starts, he's given up a total of 30 earned runs in 30 innings. But as we would find out later, and as I thought, Stroman did go on the IL.
Yes, he did go on the IL. So I guess the good news is that now we know, what's going on. Why he was dealing with what he was dealing with. Hopefully, he said that it will only be 1 start. Took a cortisone shot in the hip. We'll have to see what happens. But Tommy Hotovy kind of led on that there was something that they were dealing with. They were trying to get him right physically, is what he said, in between the starts. So there was something physically wrong with him. He was overcompensating. I wonder if it was him. I wonder if it was the Cubs pushing him to get to at least through the trade deadline until we took a day off because maybe they were going to trade him. Maybe they weren't. And maybe they felt, and we didn't get this question to Tommy Hotovy, maybe they felt a 70% Stroman was better than a 100% Assad or a 100% Wesneski at this point.
Right. And Tommy Hotovy comes on Mully and Haw Wednesdays, right? And
yes.
When we kind of look at
every other Wednesday. Yep.
Every other Wednesday, when I was looking at it, I could see that something was wrong with the slider, and a lot of this now makes sense. But you mentioned Assad, and the good news is that Assad kept the Cubs in it by throwing 3.2 innings. He gave up no runs, 1 hit. He struck out 4. He walked 3, but that was good to see. And then Daniel Palencia pitched 1.1 innings, a shutout ball, and Mark Leiter went 1 inning. So it kept the Cubs in it. And, I was nervous about Andrew Abbott. He's been a rookie who's been having a really great year pitching well. But the Cubs were able to tag him for 4 runs on 5 hits, and he only went 3.1 innings. Dansby hit a home run in the 2nd to make it 3-1, and the Cubs scored 3 in the 3rd to make it a 6-4 game with Seiya and Happ hitting sac flies and Yan Gomes hitting an RBI single. And in the 8th inning, Yan Gomes hit a 1-out double and Morel double to make it 6-5. But Talkman struck out, Magical grounded out. The offense scored 5 runs on 8 hits, but they left 7 on base, went 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
Never a good stat, Crawly. That stat is, we're big Rispy guys. We hit that stat, it seems like, each and every podcast, but you're not going to win very often when you go 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
It doesn't help, but what impressed me was the fact that they were able to hit Abbott so well, and they were continuing to fight all the way at the end, and I thought that was going to pay good dividends in this game too.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, this is a try hard bunch. This is a never give up bunch. They could have easily turtled, walked away in this one, especially because of the outing that their big dog, right, that he had. He did not pitch. He did not step up like we had all hoped, Marcus Stroman. So they could have easily turtled, and they did not.
Right. And all of a sudden, you got your second best pitcher, supposedly Justin Steele, going up against Ben Lively. And I went to the game on Tuesday hoping to bring the Cubs some luck. I wanted to see the debut of Jeimer Candelario, the return of Jeimer Candelario. But Dustin, I had no idea I would be witnessing history.
History. We sound like Hawk Harrelson. History. Yes, you did. I mean, we have franchise history. We got Major League Baseball records going down. I mean, just all kinds of things happening over at Wrigley Field.
The Cubs scored 20 runs on 20 hits with 7 home runs. That tied a franchise
home runs
record. 1977. I was 1 year old when they were even that close. But I'm looking at this. Dansby Swanson hit 2. Bellinger, Tauchman, Horner, Wisdom, Amaya all hit homers. I mean, literally, you couldn't even go anywhere, to go to the bathroom or get a beer without hearing whoop, there it is over the loudspeakers every time they hit a home
something.
Run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was nonstop. Tauchman was 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs, and Horner was 3 for 6. Bellinger 3 for 6 with 3 RBIs. Swanson was 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs. And in his first game back with the Cubs, Jeimer Candelario was 4 for 5. And boy, did I feel bad for poor Ben Lively, who was forced to wear this one. Cubs scored 13 runs off this kid. He became the first pitcher to allow 13 runs in a game versus the Cubs since St. Louis's Bill Sherdell did so on June 25th, 1918, Dustin.
I'm always impressed with those records, Crawly. I mean, who keeps track of this stuff? 1918. I mean, it's crazy.
That's Cubs historian Ed Hardig. He's the man.
He's the man, that's for sure. And Justin Steele had a pretty easy go of it because he got staked to a pretty nice lead later on in the game.
Right. Well, he was up 5-0 after 1 inning. And so, he was able to kind of just do Justin Steele things. He went 6 innings. He gave up 5 runs, 4 earned, 9 hits. He struck out 6 and only walked 1, but he gave up a 2-run homer to Tyler Stevenson. So, it's one of those games where, I doubt that he's that, pumped up as far as adrenaline and stuff like that, just because it's kind of this game's just way over. You know what I mean?
Right. And going into that game, they made an adjustment on a play that we talked quite a bit about, the error, right? The error at shortstop that they changed it to an error instead of a double. So Justin Steele going into that game had the lowest ERA in the National League, maybe all of baseball. Didn't come out of it that way, but very interesting that they made that switch.
I wonder if they wanted to appeal it or something through MLB. I wonder what happens, because that is kind of late.
And it took quite a while, right? I mean, that was a long time. All right, so that wraps up game number 2, an absolute offensive explosion. Just had to be a special
night for you at Wrigley. Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and it was, like I said, I was actually at the postseason game against the Cardinals, where they hit 6 home runs. Okay. It's something that you just never expect to see. It's just the ball, and it wasn't like the wind was howling at 20 miles an hour out or anything like that. I didn't walk up and look at the flags and go, "Uh-oh, pound the over" or anything like that. But Jesus, right. It was something else.
Yeah. All right, game number 3, Drew Smyly gets his assignment back as an actual starter instead of coming in relief in the 2nd or 3rd inning. And he was taking on Brandon Williamson.
Yeah, the Cubs are going to win this one, but Drew Smyly just still didn't look impressive. He went 4.2 innings. He gave up 5 runs on 6 hits. Now, he struck out 7, walked 0 batters, which is good, but he also gave up 3 home runs in 4.2 innings. 2 of them to Joey Votto, the ghost of Joey Votto.
I didn't think he hit home runs, Crawly.
Oh, my God. It sure looked like it that night, but we need Smyly to figure it out. But again, the bullpen only gave up 1 run in 4 innings. That bullpen is really starting to come together, and it also included the debut of Jose Cuas, who is someone that they picked up in the trade deadline, and just the offense gave Smyly that leash.
Yeah, back and forth game, no doubt about it. Cubs taking care of it, 5th and 6th inning, and it was all Cubs after that. That was a lot. That was a lot of fun. I had high hopes that they could win that game because the good vibes after game number 2 that you were at, but I did not see 16 runs coming. That's for sure.
Do you ever sit there sometimes and you say to yourself, man, that's save some for the next day, right?
Oh, all the time. I said that after game 2.
And you're looking at it. They're down 5-2 in the fourth. They score 1 run in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 5 in the sixth, 4 in the seventh, and 2 in the eighth. Happ hits 2 home runs. Morel, Swanson, Suzuki each hit 1. Morel was 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Happ 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and the 2 homers. Suzuki 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. And Candelario 4 for 4. So in 2 games, this guy was what? He was 8 for 9.
8 for 9, hitting over 800. So it didn't matter who they gave up. If he continues on that pace, they could have given up the entire farm system. It would have been well worth it.
All 16 runs, Dustin, on 16 hits. And you have to take a look at it. The Cubs have scored 36 runs in the last 2 games, 20 on Tuesday, 16 on Wednesday. That's the most in a 2-game span since 1897, right? So it's just absolutely unbelievable. The first time the Cubs have scored at least 16 runs in back-to-back games since 1894. Again, hat tip to Ed Hardig. And as we record this on Thursday night, Jamison Tyone is going up against Luke Weaver, who is the worst of all the pitchers that we've seen so far in this 4-game series, with a massive 6.80 ERA. And the thing to keep in your mind tonight, Dustin, is that none of the Reds pitchers, their starters, have gotten out of the 4th inning. So that bullpen is taxed.
It's so taxed. It's absolutely taxed. It's a great point by you, Crawly. Absolute great point. Well, see what happens. But the bottom line is the Cubs offense is no longer broke, and they're doing this against the first place team in the division. Now, the division is crap. Nobody's going to argue that. But, you can only beat and you can only face off against the team that's on your schedule that day. We're going to talk later about the Atlanta Braves coming to town. But right now, they are putting their best foot forward against those Reds. Yeah,
they're 12-3 in their last 15 games since July 18th. On July 20th, they were 7 games out of a wild card spot and 8.5 games back of the division lead. Dustin, going in tonight, 2.5 out of a wild card and 3 games back from Cincinnati. I mean, the Cubs are just doing it, and Jed Hoyer decided to reward that faith in the trade deadline.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. We'll obviously recap what happens on Thursday night with you guys later this week. But good news is the Cubs offense is alive and well, and they were buyers and not sellers at the trade deadline. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode number 58, Cubs Deadline Shocker. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. All right, Crawly, let's fill everybody in about what happened at trade deadline day. That was at 5 o'clock on Tuesday.
Right. Last time we spoke, we talked about Edwin Rios being taken off the 40-man roster, but we didn't know what the move was going to be. What was it going to be big? Was it going to be small? And it turned out to be a big deal. The Cubs did land Jeimer Candelario, and he is a former Cub. So he was in the Cubs farm system, actually in Happ, was really close with them. Right. 29 years old. He's hit 258 with 16 homers, 30 doubles, 53 RBIs, and an 823 OPS in 99 games for Washington. So you got to imagine he doesn't have a lot of guys around him, right? But he, heading into Monday, leading the National League third baseman in WAR with 3.1, leads third baseman in doubles, and leads them in extra base hits. So when you think about it, and you think about the black hole that has been first base for the Cubs, which Candelario played when he debuted, and on third base, this is really, really good. So, I mean, he was traded to the Tigers in a move that brought Justin Wilson here, but it was fantastic. But the Cubs were not done, Dustin. Not only did they get one of the biggest bats, but this is the real stunner, is they DFA'd Trey Mancini.
Yeah, good guy, but just wasn't getting it done. I think his legs failed him, Crawly.
Right. He's a 2 years, $14 million deal. So the Cubs are going to have to eat $10 million. But you know what? Good. Be a big boy team and do the right move that's going to help you. He was hitting 234 with 4 homers and 28 RBIs. But he cleared all the waivers. He's a free agent now, so someone can sign him, and the Cubs are still paying the contract. But it was the right move to make. And now, like I said, you can do a lot. And this really stretches the Cubs lineup a lot. I love the move to bring Candelario here, and it shows an intention that they're going for it.
Absolutely, and you said it right, Crawly. It's all about stretching out that lineup. There's been different spots for different guys. We saw Suzuki take a seat the other day. I wouldn't be surprised if Suzuki's on the bench tonight. And we also saw Suzuki batting, I think, seventh on Wednesday night, so a different spot for him. But he had Candelario batting eighth in his second appearance with the Cubs. So all kinds of mixing and matching and moving around. We've got three guys right now that could be playing first base. We got three guys that could be playing third base. So a bounty of riches for the Cubs, if you will, right at this second.
Now, if you want to get a player like Candelario, you're going to have to give stuff up, and that's what the Cubs did. They gave up Kevin Made, who was their number 14 prospect. He's a shortstop, really good hitter. And then those people that have listened to the podcast plenty, DJ Hertz was a left-handed pitcher. He was the Cubs' number 16 prospect. With Made obviously playing shortstop, he's blocked by Dansby Swanson. So, sometimes that's the good thing about having a really good farm system is that if you have guys in place, you can use these guys for trade chips. I really like DJ Herz and wish him absolutely the best, except for against the Cubs.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on those guys. No doubt about that. I think that's just the right thing to do. They didn't do anything wrong. They'll hopefully get an opportunity at their next destination.
And that's why Jeimer Candelario was traded, because he couldn't play third because of a guy named Chris Bryant. So that's what happens, right?
Right. That kind of thing. Is Chris Bryant still playing baseball, or did he retire to Colorado? Remind me.
He has not retired yet.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Now the Cubs also acquired Jose Cuas from the Royals for minor league outfielder Nelson Velasquez. I love Velasquez, but again,
another guy, right? He's been up here
blocked
this year, right? Blocked again, right?
Yeah. He's a 29 righty. He has a 4.54 ERA with 52 strikeouts and 21 walks in 41 innings. So, it was an interesting move to me because I was really thinking they'd get a lefty and they didn't, but they made one more move on August 1st. They got right-handed pitcher Josh Robertson from the Rays in exchange for Manny Rodriguez and Adrian Sampson. And they threw in a little bit of international bonus pool money for that. Robertson, he's played entirely at AAA this season for the Rays. But he has been pitching well, and he's a reverse split guy. So his fastball goes up to about 97 miles an hour, even up to 98. He's got a really good slider, and he's been doing better against lefties than righties. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. He's been real hot lately, 0.69 ERA in his 10 most recent appearances, but all of them have been in AAA.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. I don't mind the move. Like you said, guys get blocked, and you just have to move on. They needed a little extra help in the bullpen. Tommy Hotovy liked the fact that he throws kind of that sidearm in the different angles. He thought that was something cool because that's what Hotovy did when he was trying to make it into the big leagues as well.
Joe Madden used to call that funk. He liked guys with funk.
Funk. Yeah, he's funky, all right. They still got the funky play of the game on the radio side too.
Right. And speaking of funky, Marcus Stroman, like we said, 15-day IL with that right hip inflammation. He said it's been an issue for a bit, but it got worse. And it required him to really use his upper body and not his lower body. And that's where I saw the slider just wasn't moving, man. And that's where he was getting knocked around.
And that's his big pitch, right?
Right. That's a big pitch for him, and his sinker as well just wasn't looking good. So he has that cortisone shot. He's going to be on a strength and stability program. And Jose Cuas, we just talked about, he took his roster spot. Brad Boxberger and Ethan Roberts are scheduled for bullpens on Friday in Arizona. Boxberger had the forearm strain, and Ethan Roberts coming back from Tommy John. And then Nick Birdie will pitch in live BP on Friday in Arizona. He's getting closer to a rehab start. And as I said, Mancini cleared waivers and is now a free agent. But
quickly on Mancini. Again, really great guy. I hope all the best for him. I hope he lands with another team that's in need of a little leadership, and maybe a little bat. The guy could hit with runners in scoring position. He had some clutch hits. Just not enough at bats for the guy right now. That's all.
Right. And it happens, and so this was the move they had to make to get better, and they made it. And Speaking of moves they had to make, there was a bunch of cool minor league roster moves, no bigger than the Cubs' number one prospect, PCA. Pete Crow Armstrong is one step closer to Wrigley Field. He's been promoted to Iowa. So from the Tennessee Smokies to Iowa, as was right-handed pitcher Carlos Guzman. So with a lot of these moves with the Cubs trading players, that opens up room for other players. The Cubs' #1 draft pick, Cade Horton, was promoted from South Bend to Tennessee, as was shortstop Fabian Petrus. But with Cade Horton, Dustin, this is a guy that is looking lights out. He started in Myrtle Beach, didn't stay there long. He was in South Bend. And then in his first start in Tennessee, he looked really good. So I'm excited. This year's #1 draft pick for the Cubs, their first pick that they made, was Matt Shaw. He's assigned to South Bend. So if any of our listeners know how much we love to go to South Bend, you could check him out. One thing to kind of watch, Ben Brown is a starter for AAA, but he's put on the 7-day IL. Ben Brown has been on the program. He's a great kid. He's someone I'm thinking I don't know if maybe just giving him a little bit of a breather just in case they may need him for a September run.
Let's hope that that's the case. And congratulations to Cody Bellinger, not only the Cubs Player of the Month in July, but the entire National League Player of the Month for July.
Yeah, hitting 400, 5 doubles, 8 home runs, 24 RBIs in 26 games. That'll do it for you.
Now, that's pretty good. I think he's gone from a $150 million deal to a $200+ million deal this off season. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 58. The Cubs deadline shocker. It has come and gone, Crawly, and now the Braves are coming to town. We've got a Friday afternoon game, just like you like. And before we get into previewing the Cubs hosting the Braves, let's take a look at the standings as we enter Thursday.
Right. So Cincinnati in first place with the 2-game losing streak, thanks to the Cubs. They're 5-5 in their last 10. Milwaukee's starting to stumble, 58-51. They're 3-7 in their last 10. And the Cubs, 8-2 in their last 10, 3 games back from the Reds. Pittsburgh 9.5 and the St. Louis Cardinals 10.5 back. But now it's kind of interesting because we get into wild card watching, and the Cubs are only 2.5 back there, and teams like Arizona are struggling, and they did not do a lot. People were confused. They were sellers, whereas Miami were buyers. So Arizona and Miami are ahead of them, as are Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. But this is going to be an exciting chase. But I think the Cubs' best route is to win the division, which is absolutely attainable at this point in time. But it's going to be a rough go these next couple of days against one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, they definitely have a chance. I was surprised that Arizona was very quiet. That did surprise me that they didn't do much. I'm surprised the Reds really didn't do a whole heck of a lot either, Crawly.
And you wonder how much of an effect that's having on them in this series. I don't know.
Right. Maybe it does play with the mind a little bit. We'll have to wait and see.
We know they were looking
for
them. Right. We know they were looking for starting pitcher, and the White Sox on the other side sold a bunch, but they were talking, but Reds really did nothing.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it, Crawly. We got the Braves at the Cubs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All day games, yes?
Yes, sir.
And Lollapalooza's in town. So a hot weekend down in the city.
Hot weekend, and the team like the Braves are just red hot. I mean, they had another successful season last year. They came in as the defending World Series champions, and like the Dodgers and Cardinals, they're the gold standard that other front offices try to emulate. So they finished in first place in the NL East with a record of 101-61, and were upset in the division by the Philadelphia Phillies, who ended up representing the NL in the World Series in 2022. They made some key additions: catcher Sean Murphy, outfielder Jordan Luplow, right-handed pitcher Nick Anderson, outfielder Sam Hilliard, a right-handed pitcher Joe Jimenez, who's really good out of the pen, and then right-handed pitchers Dennis Santana and left-handed pitchers Lucas Lutage. But they did have some losses. And obviously the Cubs know about Dansby Swanson. So Swanson now with the Cubs, so he's going to get to see his first team for the first time since coming to the Cubs. They lost.
Think there's any juice there, Crawly? You think there's any juice there?
I think there's always probably a little bit.
Any motivation from Dansby Swanson? Like, hey, I could have been the guy. I should have been the leader of this team. Anything like that?
I don't think so. I don't think he looks at it like that. I think he's going to come in and just kind of do what he has to do, which is lead this team. But they also lost Kenley Jansen, Luke Jackson, William Contreras. We know is with the Brewers now. So that's who Sean Murphy, that whole thing kind of worked out with. And then Manny Pena, they lost as well. And they were able to extend Sean Murphy to a long extension. But right now, this year, the Braves are in first place. The record 69-37. Oof. 64 in their last 10 and on a 2-game winning streak. They just finished up a series. They won 2 out of 3 in LA versus the Angels.
Yeah, they can hit the ball pretty well. They do kind of seem to live and die by the home run, Crawly.
Yeah, they do, but they are very successful in hitting them, and that's what kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be an easy series, but I think the Cubs can do a little something. But let's get through the pitching matchup. So Friday afternoon, we've got one of the better ones for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, Kyle's been doing really good. I mean, calling his games. We've kind of talked about that, and he is a really good, solid number 3-4 pitcher for you against the Cardinals. Not a very good team. 7 innings pitched, gave up 8 hits, 3 earned runs. And against the White Sox, he went 6.1 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs. And then against Washington, 6 innings, went 5 hits and gave up 1 run. But this is definitely going to be a step up in class, so to speak,
yes.
compared to who they've been facing lately.
Good. That's a good way to put it. Step up in class. There's no doubt about that. But hey, listen, if this team is going to have aspirations of playing beyond October 1st, then this is the type of series you need to get involved in.
And this game's going to be interesting on Friday because Max Fried is rejoining the Braves after a 3-month absence due to a strained left forearm. So Fried is one of their really, really good young pitchers. He's 2-1 with the 2.08 ERA. But when you talk about Fried,
let's hope he's rusty, Crawly. Let's hope he's rusty.
Right. What kind of is he going to be on a pitch count? What's going to happen. So it's one of those things you have to be careful because you might say to yourself, oh, be patient. But Max Fried, if all of a sudden he kind of starts getting in a groove, he could set you down really quick and last longer than you expected. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yep. Another thing to keep in mind as this happens. All right, Crawly, the dreaded TBD for the Cubs in game number 2. Let's speculate. What are you thinking?
Hayden's on the roster, so I think that Hayden Wesniewski would be some sort of combination of Hayden Wesniewski and Javier Assad.
Yep, that's what I think too. I think that duo, I think it's almost one of those split kind of things.
A lot of it depends on the game against the Reds tonight and what happens with Hendricks. You never know. If all of a sudden Hendricks gets knocked out early, you may not see that. So it's I think they're going to keep their options open, but I don't know exactly how that's going to all play out.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. What are the Cubs facing on Saturday afternoon?
Oh, Bryce the Elder. That's not his name. His name is Bryce Elder, but I don't know, it sounds like medieval to me. He is a righty with an 8-2 record, a 3.18 ERA. This guy's had a couple good starts, both against Milwaukee lately. On the 29th, he went 7 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run. And again, against the Brewers on the 23rd, he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. He struggled a little bit against Arizona on 7/18. He only went 2.2 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs and struck out 4. But, when you got this offense, same as Smiley start the other day, boy, you can get a lot of things fixed if you got an offense that hits like the Braves do.
Yeah, well, they're awfully good at the offensive side of the game. All right, so then game 3, we get Justin Steele back out there, Charlie Morton, who's kind of the would you consider him like the Kyle Hendricks of the Braves, maybe a Charlie Morton?
Oh yeah, the old man of the bunch, the one that the wily veteran, all those things. When you got Justin Steele, 12-3 with a 2.65 ERA. Again, that game was kind of tough to kind of get up for because they were just kicking Cincinnati's butt so bad. He went 6 innings, gave up 9 hits and 4 earned runs. And against St. Louis, the last 2, the 27th and the 21st, he went 6 and 6.1 innings, gave up 1 run and 2 runs. So again, a step up in class. And for a guy like Justin Steele, this is this is kind of a good measuring stick for me to kind of look at Justin Steele because you are going against such a good team and such a good pitcher.
Absolutely.
Charlie
great point,
Morton.
Crawly. Great point. That's a great point by you.
So, I mean, Morton is 10-9 with the 3.62 ERA, but again, he's just a veteran that knows how to pitch. Like you said, a Kyle Hendricks type, and he's very deceptive with his pitches. So I just kind of want to see how the Cub offense does, but like I said, especially Justin Steele. But he's lost his last 3 games. Again, though, against the Angels, 6 innings, he gave up 3 earned runs. Against the Red Sox, he went 3.2 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. And against Arizona, he only went 5.2 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs. So he's definitely a guy you can hit, right? He's not one of these young guns that they have coming out of their rotation, but again, if the Cubs are smart and patient and watch out for that curveball, I think the Cubs have a chance If the offense keeps performing like they do, I mean, look out.
Absolutely. Look out indeed. All right. I'm going to take the hot knot here, Crawly, really quick. Jeimer Candelario. I don't know if you get much hotter than that in his first couple of games with the Cubs. Mike Tauchman continues to play really great baseball for the Cubs. Not Seiya Suzuki. I think he's going to be platooning the rest of the way unless something happens. And Tucker Barnhart, do you think they tried to trade him and it didn't work out? What's your expectations on Tucker the rest of the way?
I mean, people like pitching to him. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't want to see him and Justin Steele again. I know they won that game, but that did not get talked about enough in my book. There was something going on in that third inning where we had a couple of wild pitches or pass balls. I don't know what, but it seemed like the communication was very off between those two.
You and I have talked about that before and how frustrating it is that Miguel Amaya's not there. I mean, right now you have to play your best players. And if I don't care about everybody having a chance to catch everybody and all that stuff.
No.
I want your best. I want your best players out there. And if you think that, and if Hendricks and Amaya work good, let's do that. Dustin, just to kind of let you know that Suzuki is not in the lineup. It is Mike Tauchman tonight leading off.
It is Tauchman playing right field or center field?
Right field.
Right field. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that either. Looked a little out there in right field the other night, but again, I will say that the David Ross and the Cubs do know more than I do. How do you feel about him out there in right field?
As if you've ever talked to anybody from Billy Williams to Andre Dawson, and these are Hall of Famers, right field's a tough one to play. He's going to learn on the fly. You got Tauchman in right, Horner at second, Happ at third, Bellinger in center, Swanson at shortstop, Morel DHing, Candelario playing first base tonight, not third, Gomes catching, and Magical at third base. Just so
I think I like Candelario more at first than third. I'm just gonna say that for whatever that is worth. All right, Crawly, quickly now. Well, who do the Cub fans need to be paying attention to from the Atlanta Braves?
Look out for Ronald Acuna. That guy is just absolutely on a tear. He is one of the best players in baseball. Also, Matt Olson, a great first baseman, and he's having a terrific year this year. So both of those guys are doing really well. But Dustin, when you take a look at the regulars of who's not, I mean, all of these guys are hitting about 280. Like the only ones that are not are their left fielder, Eddie Rosario's hitting 211, and their catchers, both of them stink on offense. But offensively, when you go down the list, right fielder first, short, center, third base, DH, second base, all those guys are hitting 280 or above in their last 7 games. So this is a really good offensive team. They are a juggernaut. So this is where we get into the predictions, Dustin. I don't know what you're seeing here.
I'm going to say they're not going to get swept. I think they're playing too good to get swept, but I'm going to be real. I'm going to say they win 1, they lose 2.
I'm
especially with TBD, right? I don't know what's going on.
Right. That you can't sit there. And if you're a gambling man and you have no stake in this right now, in this team, then you're definitely going to look and say the Braves take 2 or 3. This is hard to pick because Fried is just coming off the IL. We have a TBD. I like the Cubs in game 3 the best. And I'm curious about game 2. So I'm going to go 1 for 3, but game 2, if they do that Wesneski Assad, I'd be very interested to see what happens.
All right. That's a wrap, Crawly. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, flythew670@gmail.com is where you can email Crawly and I, and you can watch us YouTube by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy, hopefully, some more fireworks from the Cubs offense.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't gotten a chance, I'm just telling you this entire week, Wrigley has been rocking. Don't miss it. Go down there, support the Cubs. Go Cubs! Hey, guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!